Hi, this is Derek with MostInterestingLife.com, and this is my new post, my first post for the new year, January 2018. I've got my color therapy glasses on. I'll be doing a post on these and a video on these soon. They come in 10 different colors, and each color is supposed to make you affect you in different ways. Otherwise, I just kind of like the way that they feel. It makes everything look differently. It makes life a little bit more interesting. But today's post is how we live in a perfectly interesting universe. This video might be a little bit too spiritual for people, might be a little bit too law of attractive sounding, so if that's not your thing, you might want to tune out right now. But if you're interested in hearing more, let's get started. So I believe we live in a perfectly interconnected universe where everything that happens to us, it happens for a reason. Even bad things that happen to us happen for a reason. Good things happen for a reason. And we as people don't really have a full understanding. We're a little too short-sighted to really see just how perfectly connected everything is. Some people may call this synchronicity. There's a lot of different words for it. They might call it a divine plan. Someone more scientific-minded might call it just a balance of energy. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but the overall understanding for this case is about the same. And when talking about this, I'm reminded of a story I heard from Tony Robbins. I think he wasn't the originator. I think it originally came from China a long time ago, but basically it goes that there was a farmer he had a farm, and one day one of his horses ran away. And someone came up to him and they said, "Oh, aren't you upset one of your horses ran away?" And he's like, maybe. And then the next day, the horse came back, but it brought 3 new wild horses with it. So now he had, instead of losing one horse, he had that horse come back, plus he had an extra 3. And so he said, "Oh, aren't you excited?" He said, "Oh, maybe." The next day, his son was riding one of those wild horses. He fell off and he broke his leg. And then somebody said, "Oh, your son broke your leg. This is terrible. You can't work. How do you feel about that?" And he said, I don't know, it's maybe bad, maybe good. The next day, the country went to war, and all the able-bodied young men had to go to war. But the farmer's son did not have to go to war because he had a broken leg. So somebody said, "Oh, wow, the broken leg turned out to be a good thing." And the farmer said, "Maybe." So the point of the story is, the good things that happen to us, bad things that happen to us, delays, all these things, we don't really know in the bigger picture what the effect that they'll have. And trying to focus on such things, it could drive us crazy. So, all that we could do is really look to do the best that we can from the day-to-day and have sort of a faith that on the larger scale that things will work out well. So, this is one of those types of things where we don't really need to understand all the details of it to make use of it. It's just like another metaphor that I've heard is when going through life, it's like we're in a car in a dark night and our headlights can only see so far ahead of us. And so all that we could do is just drive and just for what we could see. And what's beyond that, we could plan, we could have maps. These days we have GPS, but we can't really tell what the long-term future will hold. All that we could do is make short-term plans. They could be tied to longer plans, but very often things change in the long run. So we could just control what's directly in front of us. Another way that people talk about this is living in the now. Living in the moment. We never really live in the past or the future. It's just an eternal present that we live in. So that should be our focus. And it's very easy for people to live in the past, to dwell on bad things that happened to them in the past, to try to just ride on successes that they've had in the past, and lose track of just the most important moment, which is right now. And also people do this with the future too. They get worried about things that might happen in the future, maybe not. And that's not a way to live. We want to make plans for the future, but not obsess about it. The most important thing we could do is make plans, but focus on what we can do today. And I'm sure a lot of people that watching this, they've noticed that a lot of the worst things that happen in their lives turn out to be the best things that happened to them in their lives. It's either made them stronger or led to new opportunities. Maybe they lost a job and ended up getting a much better job. Maybe a relationship ended and they ended up getting a much better relationship. And it's even in movies. A movie, it's sort of a metaphor, and it's often not real life, but it's the same thing. It's the most exciting movies are the ones that have the most evil villains. It's like a Disney movie where everything seems terrible, the good guys are losing, but in the end they win, and that makes a much better story and a much more perfect story and a much more interesting story than if things worked out in the first place. So that's basically all I wanted to say with this. This is a follow-up to a post I made on my blog site, mostinterestinglife.com, about how we live in a perfectly interesting universe. If you want to just get a few more points on this topic, you could go there. Otherwise, if you like this video at all, you get anything from it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and until next time, stay interesting.